back, warrior. I'm so glad you're here. As you can see, I'm going for a very cozy vibe because it's December 2nd. Like, how crazy is that? In less than a month, it's going to be 2021. I can't wrap my mind around it. Today's video is going to be about untangling the knots of our mind. I pulled back from social media, and I'm really glad I did, because now I feel like my mind has been rejuvenated, refreshed, and I can come on here and just be there for you guys. I didn't really feel comfortable recording myself because I was being really self-critical. Like, I just kind of was questioning my purpose in making my YouTube account. And so I'm trying to come back to my roots. I so desperately want to do this the right way. I don't just want to do this for me. Like, I want to do it to help people not feel alone. Or I just want to be here so you feel like you have a friend, an older sister, a little sister. Yeah, I just want to be here for you. Yesterday I took like 2 or 3 hours and I sat at my desk and I just purged all my thoughts from my mind and just put it on my laptop. I just typed and typed and typed. That being said, I think I'm past that. I think I'm past that phase in 2020. 2020 seems to be hitting us hard. Knocking us down and then kicking us in the face and then trampling on us. But that's okay. We keep chugging. I kind of had to sit down with my thoughts and just get them all together. You know how people sometimes on Sundays or like they take a day out of the week and they just get their lives together? Well, yesterday I got my mental life together. Writing in a journal, that's usually like my go-to, but I felt like I needed something more. So I just started typing. I started going with it. Then I realized like 2 or 3 hours had passed and I was like, wow, that felt really, really good. I think anxiety in a nutshell is overthinking, and for me, overthinking doesn't just mean taking a thought and like delving deep into it. Yes, that happens, but it's not just one thought at a time. It seems like there's a plethora of thoughts. Like, for example, like I may wake up one morning and have 10 things to do for that day, and it's hard for me to attack just one thing at a time, because even if I'm focusing my energy on that one thing, subconsciously I'm still obsessing about the fact that I have 9 other things I have to do by the end of the day. And so my thoughts just, they get all not only do we have so much invested in a single thought when we're overthinking, but it's spread across the board. There are many thoughts. Our brains have so much mental capacity, and when it's filled to the rim, mine was filled to the rim until yesterday, when it is just completely full of chaotic thoughts, of thoughts that are interwoven. Maybe you never came face to face with one of your thoughts, so it's just been there and it's kind of like spiraled into this deep-seated thought. When you have a stressor and you don't come face to face with it, instead you just push it to the back of your mind, it doesn't just go away. In my case, it kind of like seeds itself into me, and if I don't unroot it, it can become something that is stuck inside of me for a very long time. And I just want to share with you guys like a way that we can maybe not do that, because it's so debilitating. It physically has affected me. Stress physically affects me in ways that I never even thought were a thing. Like, I remember one time I broke out in hives because of stress. Seriously, I went to the doctor and they were like, okay, so it's not this. They ruled out everything and they're like, yeah, it's stress. And I'm like, hives. I get really bad stomach pain. My entire body aches. I get pressure headaches. And when you think about that, like, your mind is so powerful. Those invisible thoughts can cause so much pressure on your actual brain. It is debilitating, like mentally, emotionally debilitating, but it can be physically debilitating. It makes my skin break out. Like, I struggle with my skin so much. So if I'm not careful, my thoughts really do feel like they get entangled with each other. They feel like they clump together and it's impossible to like take one without like messing up the whole juju what's going on. Yesterday what I did was every thought that came to mind for 2 hours, and those thoughts that were coming to mind were ones that either I knew I know I had been struggling with, stressors that I could name right off the bat, but then like all the subconscious thoughts were coming up too. And it was so cool to see them in front of me, because for me it's that visual of purging them from my mind and putting them elsewhere. So seeing them no longer stuck inside, because I think one of the biggest issues with not coming face to face with stressors, anxiety, fears, like issues that are going on is we obsess over them. We fixate on them. If I know I have something to do that day and it's kind of stress provoking, I'll push it off. So I'll be like, nope, I'll do it after this. Nope, I'll do it after this. And because I keep pushing it off, I subconsciously fixate on it. And I keep repeating it to myself because I know I can't forget it. But it feels so good to purge those thoughts. Like, I cannot even explain to you the weight that was lifted yesterday when I just sat down and was real with myself, and I was like, anything that comes to mind, it's going on this paper, it's going on the computer, it is just coming out of me there, not going back in. So yeah, I encourage you to take some alone time. I understand not all of us are writers. I really enjoy writing. So for me, the whole typing or writing in a journal, that really works well for me. But for you, it may be something else. But just take some time and don't be scared of those thoughts, because if we don't confront them, they're not just disappearing. They actually get bigger and scarier as the time passes. And then it makes everyday activities so much tougher, because the everyday activities end up getting all tangled up in the greater stressors. And so they're all kind of like intermingled, and you try to do like an everyday activity. Yes, you may be trying to focus on it, but subconsciously you still have all these knots back here. You know why people love checklists so much? It's a physical representation of the things that you need to prioritize that are repeating in your mind. So putting things on a piece of paper is so therapeutic. Just having them there. Like, when you put something on a piece of paper, you don't write out a task and then write a task over it and then write a task over it. You write a task, next line, task, next line. So they're not jumbled. I think that alone visually does so much to help. I would compare this to going to therapy. There have been so many times I've gone to therapy and it's actually made me nervous because I haven't known what exactly I was going to talk about, because I'd be like in a pretty decent place and I'd be like, oh, like I don't really have any issues that I can think of. But there's something about just like sitting down and then knowing, okay, like I have this entire hour or these 45 minutes. Okay, let's let's see what happens. So then there were so many times, and I've also heard people say this about therapy, where you go in and you don't even know what you truly need. You start talking and then it's just like word vomit. And then by the end, the therapist might be like, okay, well, that's all the time we have. And part of you might be like, well, they didn't even say anything. Like, they didn't give any advice. They didn't really comment. They just listened. But that is so powerful, because when you walk away, you're like, oh my gosh, like all those things have been weighing on me. And I just took them out of my worry compartment in my brain, and I just like left them there. And so it's very, very powerful. You owe it to yourself. 2020 has been brutal. It has knocked all of us down. Like I said earlier, it has knocked us down. It has kicked us in the face. It has stomped all over us. It has been brutal. I challenge you to put yourself first. If you are a person who is constantly doing things for other people and you don't give yourself time, you know, that's not only not fair to you, that's not really fair to the people that you're constantly helping, because you're not giving everything you can give because you have a whole lot of junk going on. So we need to learn to be more balanced when it comes to this. I'm saying this only because I am that person. I am that girl who will push things to the back of her mind and just like try and help people. And it can be exhausting when you don't even give time for yourself and you're just giving. That is exhausting. So 2020 has been wild. Let's end it with some self-care, some self-love. Let's end it with purging our thoughts. They may be thoughts from the beginning of COVID. You have no idea until you sit down and you truly just give yourself that time. So it may not be writing for you, it may be something else, but take time to acknowledge the things going on in your mind, because your mind is so powerful. And when you have so many things tangled up in knots, oh my gosh, no wonder you're feeling weighted down. No wonder you're feeling tired. You know how frustrating it is trying to untie something that is knotted together. I know, like, my really fine jewelry, when it gets knotted, oh my gosh, it's like, it's almost impossible to unknot. But you have to take time to do it. So you can't just expect 1 minute. Actually, you know what? If 1 minute is all you have, take that 1 minute and you better make the most of those 60 seconds. You sit down and think of all the things and just jot down words. If it's just single words, I promise you, you'll feel better.